Yeah, if you want to just start over a wee bit and kind of introduce yourself and your kind of role at the shop
Yeah,
and how you got it started.
yeah, absolutely. So, I'm Stuart. Um, Me and my business partner Andrew, we used to work together, and Andrew was the one that sort of got me back into Magic the Gathering.
Hmm.
So we used to play together at a shop here in Aberdeen called Reset, which was like half LAN cafe, half LGS.
Hmm.
Unfortunately, they closed at the start of 2023.
Oh, okay.
So when they closed, there was still the Geek Retreat, there was still another store in Aberdeen, but we just felt like they weren't quite our vibe. We didn't quite
Hmm.
enjoy the environment. We thought um, when it comes to trading card games, the space that we wanted to cultivate for those
Hmm.
types of players, we thought we could offer something more. So me and Andrew went into business together. We started our website, thistletavern.com, basically just to test the water
Hmm.
to see if we could generate enough income to support having a gaming space in Aberdeen that we
Yep.
would be able to make use of. Um, Obviously, Aberdeen's been going through a little bit of a downturn. There's been a lot of incentives for new stores opening up on Union Street.
Hmm.
There's our Union Street and then the Aberdeen City Council grants were on offer. So
Hmm.
after a year of running the website, it was bringing in a bit of money, and we're like, cool, yeah, we can probably afford the rent somewhere.
Yep.
Worst case scenario, nobody comes in, and we can still pay the bills. Because me and Andrew were working full time
Hmm.
still, so this was just a side hobby for us.
Absolutely.
So yeah, after a year, it'll be a year on the 29th of June.
Amazing.
We opened Thistle Tavern Games Hub on Union Street, and honestly, we've just been blown away by the success of the store.
Hmm.
The community response to having this sort of TCG focused game shop has been phenomenal. We've got groups in every night. I'd say at this point we are basically at capacity nearly every day.
Yep.
Um, so at the start of April this year, Andrew left his other job to go full time in
Wow.
the store now. So he's basically overseeing the sort of buying and buying in of stock and growing the business. I'm focused on business development now,
Yep.
and we've got our store manager Marcus who is helping run things in the store day to day.
Excellent.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, it's what started off as a very simple idea has quickly turned into a growing business, and
Mhm.
we're keen to cultivate that as much as possible.
Nice one. No, it's great to hear as well that there was help locally from the city, because I know that's an issue in a lot of other areas. I'm based down in Ayrshire, and that's pretty similar. A lot of the towns down there are pretty derelict at this point, and there's a lot of initiative to try and help bring back business and even just bring back people to the area that have maybe moved away to Glasgow and so forth. So it's great that they do have that kind of support system in place for new businesses such as yourselves, and obviously going for a year as well. Having such a strong start is really, really promising for yourselves. And it's nice that despite being other shops, there might be that worry that people aren't going to come over if they're dedicated to one particular shop. But I think even just the past 5 years, TCGs as a whole have grown so much in popularity. So it's nice to see that people are still keen for new shops to come out as well.
Yeah, definitely. And in our conversations with other business owners and the players and the community, I think what's important is finding your niche and
Mhm.
leaning into it. So obviously, the niche that me and Andrew have is that we are keen TCG and board game players ourselves, very active.
Mhm.
Andrew's actually a very good trading card game player, which helps as well. He gives strong showings. He's been playing since he was about, I want to say 12 competitively.
Nice.
So he really knows the communities, he knows the scene, he knows what works and what doesn't for games. We're always willing to try new games and give them a chance. But yeah, because I think people know that we know what we're talking about, and they enjoy that when they come into the store.
Yeah, absolutely. So, in terms of the shop itself, then, and kind of what you're looking to grow and do going forward, you talked about a little bit of your start in your own interest with Magic. So is that a key focus area for you? What are kind of the specialisms within the shop?
Yeah, it's a good question. So Magic obviously is core, I think, to any TCG business. I would say Commander Nights remain our most populous night by far, but it is closely hounded by Yu-Gi-Oh! We have a very big Yu-Gi-Oh! Community. They're all down in Liverpool at the moment actually playing. Okay. Marcus is down with them for the fun of the weekend, which is great to see. Flesh and Blood, that's Andrew's main game at the moment. He's performed very well at that, and I would say we're probably like 12 to 15 players in Flesh and Blood now as well. I myself play Lorcana. We've got a small group that come in regularly to play that, and they've been doing so since the launch of the game a year ago. But I mean, we have everything. We have Shadowverse Evolve, Wyatt Schwartz. We do. We're going to be doing Gundam, Riftbound. You know, we're just like, if people want to come in and play a card game, there's going to be space for it.
Mm-hmm. No, it's really cool to see, because I know there's been a lot of kind of newer card games, like you say, like Lorcana, like, you know, Flesh and Blood. Even Yu-Gi-Oh! To an extent is, you know, questionable in terms of how many people have been playing it over the past few years. So it's great that there's still that dedicated player base that are wanting a space to be able to play their favourite games.
Yeah.
How have you kind of found the kind of turnover of stock then, I suppose, with, you know, wanting to supply bigger games but also smaller games from the sounds of it? Well, you know, obviously TCGs have grown over the past couple of years. You know, Pokemon especially, the demand has been incredibly high for that. So what's you guys take in terms of being able to stock that kind of stuff?
Yeah, it's definitely, we work really hard. Andrew especially works really hard to ensure that we've got as much stock as possible on our shelves. We want to be the store that has it all and has enough for our players. So we work with a number of distributors, and Andrew is always trying to source new ones to make sure that we have that covered. You mentioned things like Pokemon. It's a pain. Like, as a game store, we're struggling against, because we have the online presence, we're struggling against scalpers and bots, and so we've had to introduce policies like you can pay RRP, but we're going to rip the seal on the box. If you want the box sealed, you're going to pay market price, because we know what you're trying to do. We've also restricted sales to certain products on pre-release nights. You come in pre-release, you get to buy something. If you're not playing the game, we don't necessarily want you just buying our stock because it's so limited. So unfortunately, that is the reality of TCGs at the moment, just because of the stock issues. But realistically, it's a growing, it's definitely a growing hobby. We're definitely seeing more players come in, and yeah, we're trying to facilitate coming enough for our local players while continuing to grow our online business.
Absolutely. And yeah, it was, as you say, you definitely done very well, because I visited the shop last night, and the kind of display of all the different packs that you have available, individual packs, is like a really nice way to present everything. And then obviously all the different accessories and add-ons, you know, your storage and deck boxes. You also have quite a selection of board games as well, which I find quite good. Some shops might want to just focus on cards or board games, so having that selection is quite nice. Is that something that you would like to develop further, or do you host any kind of board game nights in the shop?
Yeah, it's an interesting one. So with the board game nights, we tried when we first opened. There's a couple of people, like I say, I'm a keen board gamer myself. I try and meet up with my friends once a week to play, but realistically, certainly from a business perspective, the TCGs is where you get that recurring week-on-week players wanting to play their games, multiple nights a week even. So we definitely leaned in more to that, and honestly, it's a space issue for us now. If we had more space, we probably would try and cultivate board game nights, D&D nights. We're more focused on TCGs. That's where our players want us to be just now, and we're happy with that. The board games element we see are important to have to get people in off the street. It's a much more accessible way to get into the hobby than a TCG, and we're just trying to find the right balance of overlapping the board game hobby with your TCG hobby.
Absolutely. No, it makes a lot of sense to me. And you kind of alluded to it a wee bit with regards to each member of staff's individual expertise being brought into the shop, and then the selection of product and quality of product that you're getting in as well. But in kind of a focused or summarised way, what do you think makes the shop unique to maybe some of the other ones that are in Aberdeen already?
Sure. So I think it's definitely that we have this slightly more competitive edge. We encourage our players to get better when they're playing, so that they can go on and travel. Because that's been a big part of why Andrew enjoyed trading card games, was you get to travel and see the world playing these games. So we try and cultivate, it's a fun atmosphere, but there is a level of competitive to it that you don't necessarily get at other stores. We host larger events at the weekend to try and encourage that, win a boxes, win a case, special promos, higher entry fees to try and cultivate that competitiveness.
Excellent. And I suppose following on from that, why do you think it's important that the community and trading card game players should be supporting their local game shop? What's stopping people from sitting at home and playing with their friends? Why should they come out and support local shops?
Yeah, and that's exactly why me and Andrew wanted to open a store. Obviously, not everyone has the space at home to invite their friends around and play. And if you've got a family, like me and Andrew did at the time, well, I had and Andrew now has, you can't always be at home playing with your mates.
Yep.
So having a space that is open and welcoming so that anyone, regardless of their financial or situation, can come and play. In terms of why it's important that you pay a little bit more from your local game store compared to Amazon or whatever, or buy your singles from us instead of Card Market. The truth is we have bills to pay. Like I say, Andrew's now going full time, so his family is on the line. Like he is trying to commit to this, so that we can build what is both a good business and a good community. We hope that people enjoy coming in and speaking to the staff and speaking to the other players and meeting new people, especially from our perspective when it comes to trading card games. Playing with more diverse players is going to help increase your overall skill. That's an absolute fact, and one that we think is really important for trading card game players.
Absolutely. Yeah, I totally agree. And it's similar to myself. I played Pokemon for many years and traveled to different shops to meet people, and it's all about obviously the skill of different players, but also just the interpersonality of being able to meet people from different places and hear about their experiences as well. It's all part of the fun of being in the community at the end of the day. Is there kind of a moment interacting with a customer or at an event in the shop that you can kind of share with us that you are quite fond of?
A recent one was like our Lurkana Set Championship. So we had to put a 32-player cap on it because there just wasn't enough space in the shop. As soon as we announced that, we basically almost sold out all our tickets.
Wow.
The folk travel up, they come and play. Lurkana recently changed it so that there wouldn't be a second place mat. So I had this idea of we'll use a mat and get everybody to sign it and give that to the person that comes second place. So just a really nice group of players getting together, having fun. Everyone wanted to sign this mat at the end of the day.
Nice.
Gave it out as a prize, and it's just little things like that I think a uniqueness to an event that just makes it worthwhile.
So we're coming to the close here of our conversation, and I've got one or two more things that I would like to ask you. And the main thing that I kind of want to bring with the Scotland TCG Hub is bringing everyone together so people don't feel like they're somewhat isolated, maybe people that aren't able to travel to various other shops or larger events. Although they're based in Aberdeen, they can still get a sense of what's out there in the rest of Scotland. How do you see the future of kind of Thistle Tavern, but also the wider Scotland TCG community developing in the future?
Yeah, it's definitely one that we want to help support, and certainly from a Thistle Tavern perspective, we're hoping to grow and continue to expand over the coming years. That could lead to more shops and more locations around Scotland. It could mean a bigger presence in Aberdeen that is able to host and bring bigger events. Because that's what we're really missing, I think, from a TCG space in Aberdeen is like, or Scotland generally, the big events. Like we need regional championships, national championships. We want to bring those style of events to Scotland. Certainly, like I say, we're pushing very hard with Flesh and Blood to try and make that happen. We're going to be at Tabletop Scotland in September with a stall, looking to just like let the wider Scotland area know that we exist, because I don't necessarily think that's true yet. And like being part of these like conventions and bigger events, like we're always there. We're helping buy and sell cards, which in itself is really useful for players, because if you're stuck with cards and no store or no place to trade with, we're going to try and be there so that at least once every few months you've got an option to come and offload your old cards and get some new ones that you're needing. So I think that's where Scotland as a whole kind of needs to band together to try and pool in and showcase to these tournament organisers that Scotland is a viable venue, and like people will turn out in force for these events if they are put on in Scotland.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with that. It's a great point to raise because, as I say, when I travelled for Pokemon Regional Championships, that was in the period where we used to have kind of larger cities and regionals, and then they changed the structure and it moved down to kind of Liverpool area was the closest one I could attend. And it's obviously not ideal for everyone if they're based up here. It would be great to have something, kind of Glasgow, Edinburgh, and then maybe Aberdeen. It's like central hubs that people could travel to, where the most people are. So it makes a lot of sense to me. Is there kind of anything else that you would like to share, either about the shop or the community as a whole?
Just my thanks. Again, like I say, I want to thank our community. I want to thank the wider community. We've had folk travelling in. We know the players in Inverness, the One Piece players, they're great. They'll travel down to the store to play. We know the Lorcana community, basically down in our growth, Dundee, they come up to us to play. We've got this group from Glasgow and Edinburgh. They'll travel for Magic. I think it is important that the community as a whole is recognised as like a fun, welcoming community. Just a broad thanks to everybody for helping us get our feet under us in our first year.
Absolutely, I'm sure they very much appreciate the store as well. So where else can people find you if they're new or just finding out about you? Whereabouts is the shop? What socials are you most active on? Where can people find you?
Yeah, so Thistle Tavern, located in Union Street in Aberdeen. We're also on thistletavern.com. We are semi-active on our social medias, but our Discord community is probably the best place, and you can get the link for that from our website. We're hoping to be a little bit more active on X and Facebook and Instagram going forward, and that's part of our growth strategies. We're working with marketing agencies to help us promote and show us in the best light.
Excellent. Well, thanks very much, Stuart, and I'm sure we'll be in touch, and I'll come up and visit again in a year's time to see how you're doing in a 2-year mark type of thing. But I'm sure I'll see you at various events across Scotland as well in the future. So thanks very much again.
Yeah, looking forward to it, Connor. Thank you very much.